going to call the March 22nd, 2022 meeting of the Christiansburg Town Council to order. And as we always do, we will take a moment of reflection, followed by the pledge. So if we could take a moment to reflect. Thank you. Rise and join us for the pledge. I'm going to ask Councilperson Tanya Pocket Tanya, yes.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Sam, you got the next one. I'm going around to tell you. You got the next one.
Okay.
Very good. Are there any adjustments to the agenda? Hearing none, we'll move into public hearings. We have a conditional use permit request from Jacqueline Marshall, owner, and Sean Chukia? Close? Okay. Leasing to allow a contractor's equipment storage yard in the general business B3 on property located at 301 Depot Street, Northwest Tax Parcel 526-23-BK1-12. Parcel ID number is 007535. Property is designated as business commercial in the future land use map of the 2013 Christiansburg Comprehensive Plan. Is there anyone here to address this?
Yeah, my name is Sean Chuka. I'm the owner of Glass Off Wash. We're a mobile power washing company. We do exterior cleaning for both residential and commercial clients. We'd like to locate our business at 301 Depot Street Northwest. It's a perfect garage for us. We want to store everything inside. It's a good location for us to drive through the building. Used to be a car wash. Our plans are to store a truck, a trailer, and possibly an additional truck at the property. Nothing will be stored outside. It will all be secured inside the building. No work will be conducted on that property. We are mobile. We go to our customers.
Very good. Any questions?
Yeah, now when you say a truck and trailer, what size are you referring to?
It'll be a 3/4 ton truck and a 12-foot trailer.
Thank you.
It's just a flat utility trailer.
It's about 5,000 square feet in that building. No, about 1,000 square feet, but it's a deep building.
Right. It's skinny and long enough to put a truck and trailer inside.
Okay. Very good. Any other questions? Thank you. Next, we have an ordinance regarding a rezoning request by John D. and Arnetta V. Elmore, owners, Grand Hopkins III, contract purchaser for agriculture A to general business B3 for a portion of the property located at 710 Peppers Ferry Road Northwest, tax parcel 435A-23. Parcel ID is 021274. Property is designated as residential on the future land use map of the comprehensive plan. Is anyone here to address this? Yes, sir.
Evening, thanks. My name's Ty Hopkins. So G Hopkins. My name's actually misspelled on there, but that's okay. Everybody calls me Ty.
Very good.
I live right next to this property. I live on Stafford Drive. So this is so Mr. Elmore actually sold me the property already, so he's not here to address it. But it's an existing storage business, and Mr. Elmore owned 4.5 acres, and I've bought from the neighbor next door another 1.5 acres of a cow pasture that Mr. Elmore had already bought half of it from them. And we're just asking, so it's an existing storage business, which is zoned B3, and so we're just asking to get that additional 1.5 acres or 1.6 acres that we bought also B3, so we can just expand our operations into there a little bit. Our goal is actually redo the whole thing, and it needs some work. And there's a lot of outdoor equipment stored. we're trying to phase out all the outdoor equipment, and we're just buying prefabricated steel buildings that all look the same. They're painted white, and put them in there in a really neat and orderly fashion. So our goal is, though it's going to be a little bit bigger, it's going to be much neater and better to look at than it is now. And I think it's a good location for it because it's close to a lot of the new housing and a lot of the new businesses, but it kind of sits down low, like it's much lower than the level of Peppers Ferry Road. So you can drive by or walk by on Peppers Ferry Road, and you really can't see our site down there because it's kind of down below the hill. So that's what we're trying to do. We're just asking for rezoning for 1.6 acres, which is adjacent to our property.
Okay.
Any questions about that?
What was it that what were your plans for the land again? Because you're changing it. Was it a storage unit? Is that what
Well, it's going to stay storage units. Yeah, it's going to stay storage units. We just basically want to add more storage units. So we're trying to add 1.6 acres to do that. Some of the stuff that's stored there now on the site that's not on the 1.6 acres that I'm talking about is like contractor equipment and boats and RVs. We're actually going to phase all that stuff out because it's not very nice looking. So we're trying to just get, just prefabricated white steel buildings in nice rows with, landscaping and so on in there.
So there would not necessarily be trucks that you're going to be, renting spaces for?
Correct. I want to get rid of all the trucks that are there.
Okay.
I think your request is for the 1.5 acres, which is agriculture. You want to bring it into B3.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just the adjacent 1.5 acres next to what already exists.
Okay.
Yep.
Very good.
Just from Planning Commission, do you know if there was anything requested as far as fencing or trees or anything like that?
It's a rezoning request. You can't put conditions on the rezoning request. They can make proffers voluntarily.
Okay.
You can't place conditions on the rezoning request.
Okay. So, but this did go through planning, right?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Christina Raplansky. My family owns land that adjoins Mr. Ty's land. So my apologies to you because I'm going to say, please don't do this. I was going to start this today very differently, but I came up, I don't live in Christiansburg, I live out on Plato Lake, and I came up Peppers Ferry Road just to have a look and see, what we were talking about. And I stopped at our farm. You'll see it. You've seen it a million times when you go by Peppers Ferry Road. There's a gate with the lock on it, and there's nothing there. Sometimes there are cows, and sometimes there's hay that he's got baled up because it's agricultural, and we're renting it to a farmer. So I went in, and I kind of stumbled over the barbed wire and stuff, but I got in. And I walked up because it's I don't want to say it's mountainous, but there's a peak that you can see from Peppers Ferry Road. And when you get up to the top, there's another peak. And so I just kept hiking and kept going up. And when I got to the top, I know this sounds really corny, I felt like Julie Andrews. I was just twirling around looking at all these really nice residential settlements. I mean, just houses and houses and houses. And to the southwest, the mountains were spectacular. I mean, the view is unbelievable. And then I twirled around to the east, and there were the storage units. And it was like a slap in the face. So here's the thing. My family owns 100 acres in this area that Ty bought some land in. And we were hoping, still hope, that we can do something with that 100 acres that will be wonderful for Christiansburg. Something really great. And as I was looking at the applications and the map, I realized, I looked up, where exactly is the train station going to be? We have uptown Christiansburg now. Doesn't that, it sounds so great. That's someplace you want to go, uptown Christiansburg. And it's going to have the mall and the new marketplace and the train station and the athletic fields. And I think there's even an amphitheater planned. Fantastic stuff. Peppers Ferry Road is a gateway into uptown Christiansburg. And it is riddled with storage units. I'm sorry, but it is. I did a little research. I went through all of the zoning in the Christiansburg manual that I could find online. There is not one residential zoning district that allows storage units. In fact, the mixed use 1 and 2, those zones don't allow storage units. And I think there's a reason for that. I think you all set it up that way. The people who drafted this don't want storage units in residential areas. And it makes sense. It makes perfect sense. Nobody wants to overlook those storage units. And there's no way to disguise them or cover them. I mean, they're just there, like blinking at you. It's a real, and it's very unfortunate because a lot of our land on the east side just overlooks them. It's just, you're looking at it. So, you know, we were thinking, even if our land, which is now agricultural and on the 5-year plan, it's residential, even if our land is mixed use, even if it goes to Business 1 along Pepper's Ferry, and it should, because Pepper's Ferry, I don't have the figures on it, but I think you're going to quadruple the volume of cars and trucks going through there once the train station is in. That's going to be a really busy corridor. So I have no problem with that at all. But if we do some residential in the back, well, then we're stuck with these storage units. And once you say, okay, you're opening the door not only for him, I'm sorry, Ty.
I won't take it personally.
I don't mean it personally, but you're opening the door for decades to come. You can't get rid of him. You can't. He'll be grandfathered in. You are lowering the value of the land all around there. This is going to be one of the highest occupancy rate places in all of Christiansburg. And I don't mean my land, I mean this general uptown area. There will be people who live there in townhouses and probably commute by train to Roanoke every day. I mean, it's going to be crowded. There are a lot of opportunities there. But the zoning code does not allow for B3 storage units in residential areas. And there's a really good reason for that. Nobody wants their kid's window overlooking a storage unit. Nobody wants to sit and eat in a restaurant overlooking storage units. I mean, let's face it, they're just not that popular. There are a million places in Christiansburg where you can put storage units. Please, just not there. We need to keep that area of the town from turning into storage land. When they drive up Pepper's Ferry, people should think, Uptown Christiansburg, wow, not Uptown Christiansburg land storage units. I don't think that's what you want. I know that's not what we want. And I did a little research, which proves that we're not just in this for the money. Apparently, you can put 200 storage units on 1 acre. We have 100 acres. So that means we could put in 20,000 storage units, 20,000. And you know how much we'd make? At $100 average, $2 million a month. Now, that of course assumes full occupancy, and it is a gross figure. But really, $2 million a month, I mean, they make a lot of money, and I understand why people want to have them. But they're also an eyesore, and they don't belong in residential neighborhoods. So whether that remains residential, whether our land in that whole area remain residential, or whether it goes to a mixed use, either way, the zoning that is on the books for Christiansburg does not permit a B3 storage unit in a residential neighborhood. At least I couldn't find any. If you can find it, let me know. So I'm asking you, so there is a request here at the end. I'm asking you, please, to refer it back to the Planning Commission for further study and reconsideration, because we'd like to do something nice with our land, and it's already overlooking. I'm sorry, but there's no way we're elevated. It's an elevated spot with terrific views, except for the storage units. So I am asking that you send it back, please, to the Planning Commission and ask them to have another look.
Any questions? Thank you. Mr. Wingfield,
Randy, can you clarify that
I
information?
just told you, asked you.
I just want to make one, I guess, point of clarity in regards to the proffered condition, and applicants for rezoning request are allowed to make proffered condition offers. Of course, those are entirely voluntary, but the applicant has made a, I guess, a proffered condition in this case. The all storage units shall be prefabricated, all white I think that's powder coated metal and of similar size. Just, I guess, make that statement in regards to the question about the conditions, whether there could be conditions. You can't place conditions, but the applicant can make conditions voluntarily themselves if they do it in writing prior to the public hearing. It's basically how progress can be made.
If I could add something, that while white sounds nice and clean, white is like a neon sign. I mean, sitting among everything else, it's just, I mean, there's no grass, it's just asphalt and dirt, and they really stand out. So, sorry.
Thank you.
I will say, I guess the way that's worded, I think it would preclude it being anything other than an all-white powder-coated metal facade, basically, the way it's worded.
Okay.
In regards to the request to refer it back to the Planning Commission, that's council's discretion. If you'd like to do that, you can. If you'd like to act, you can. Entirely at council's discretion.
Could I have 60 seconds to respond? Is that allowed?
Sure. Why not?
60 seconds. And the truth is, if somebody wants to choose a different color that it should be, I was just trying to pick the thing that was easiest to keep clean looking. You know, kind of like white cars. In my opinion, the truth is, it's storage units already. Like, to some degree, we're kind of stuck with that. I do give you my word, like, the goal really is, let's neaten this thing up. Like, let's make it clean. Let's get contractor equipment out of there. Let's put in landscaping. Let's put things in nice rows. And the truth is, storage just comes with humans, with residential and business. I mean, who here's got a shed or something like that in their yard? Like, pretty much all of us do, because storing things is just something that humans do. So, I mean, if we're going to have, you know, 1,000 new homes and 100 new businesses, we're going to have some of this stuff. We might as well have it where it's already exists and we can just neaten up what we got. Yeah, so that's my
Thank you.
thoughts.
But since it's already there, we don't need more.
Thank you.
Can
Any
I
other
ask you-
comments or questions? Yes, ma'am.
How many units do you say you currently own, sir?
114 or 100, in the teens, 100 and something in the teens.
And then that is in,
Oh, is it 144? Okay.
what was the property amount that you own? How many
Um,
acres do you have that
So
in?
we own 6 acres now. Those are on 4.5 acres. Does that answer your question?
Yes, but with that, when you talked about the trucks before,
Mm-hmm.
are those trucks, are you renting the space for that too, for those trucks?
Yeah, that was the existing operation when we bought it from Mr. Holmes.
Would you gonna clean that up eventually?
Yeah.
I know you can't do it overnight, but I
Yeah,
understand.
I mean, we were literally talking about it today. What's it look like to politely give these people notice that we're facing this down?
Okay, very good.
Randy, when you were talking about, the zone, when she was talking about the zoning on the B3, that it doesn't exist and it doesn't talk about having storage units in there, is that true?
B3 does allow storage units.
So it
That's-
does allow.
That's, I guess, part of the reason for the request. Yes, sir. B3 does allow storage. She was saying it's not allowed in residential maintenance, residential districts is what she was
That's
saying.
right.
Oh.
B3 exists, but it's not B3. Right now, it's agriculture, and in the 5-year plan, it's residential. So you are going, storage units don't exist that I could find in B1 or B2. When Todd wanted to put in the jewelry store, we all met here, and there was a big discussion about, but it's not going to have storage units. It's an upscale B1 style thing. And that's what should go in there. That's fine. If Todd wants to have a pizza place or, you know, a dairy place or, you know, ice cream or something, that's fine with me. But not the storage units, because they don't belong in a residential area. And I can tell you from the top of the hill of our property, we're looking straight down on his storage units. I mean, there's no avoiding them. I realize, and this is my point, once you allow this, you can't get rid of it. The storage units that he already has there, they're there for decades. There's nothing we can do about that. But we don't have to expand it and make it a bigger eyesore. They are visible from the street. I drove by, I looked. It will be visible from the street. I took pictures. I know what it looks like. So I just want to be sure that you're clear. B3 is what the storage units are normally in.
Yeah.
I'm
And that's what
asking
it's
you.
in.
That's what he's,
That's what it's in now.
No, he's asking you to put it in
he's
B3.
agricultural now.
It's actually agricultural now.
Yeah.
And it's designated for residential. So I am asking you not to spread the B3 and continue that on, because that's going to ruin any plans that we have for something better. Because who's gonna build next to storage units? Nobody.
Do you come to the planning commission meetings?
I don't, and I'm sorry that I missed the one. I don't know how, but it got by me and I missed it. So I would like to have an opportunity to talk to the Planning Commission. I've talked to them several times in the past, over the last 20 years. There was a time when we were planning to develop our land ourselves. And so we went in and had a nice discussion with them and, what roads they wanted and things like that, but that didn't pan out then. So the trouble seems to be that there's a lot of turnover. So I've talked to a number of different people about it. I wrote a very long letter to you guys, and well, I guess it went to the Planning Commission, about why we need to stop B3 in the area of Pepper's Ferry. Because what you're doing is you're downgrading it. B3 is the lowest form of business before you get to industrial. And that's where storage units are. But they're not storage units are not allowed in residential 1, residential 2, residential 3, mixed use 1, or mixed use 2.
Thank you.
So I'm asking you not to go with B3.
Thank you. I think your point's well taken.
Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
can I ask one question?
Certainly.
Just for clarification, that what is already owned by
the
Mr.
owners.
Hopkins is already B3, that where the storage units are now. He's just asking for that 1.6 that he purchased to
Correct.
be rezoned.
The existing mini warehouse
B3. Okay.
area is zone B3.
Okay.
And he's asking to rezone, I guess, kind of a remaining portion of the property.
So I noticed that this came through the regular channels at the Planning Commission. It was approved 7-0. Recommendation to allow this. I personally don't see any need to kick it back to the Planning Commission. Anybody think we need to take it back?
I kind of would like to.
No.
I think it's, I think if she provides the pictures and maybe there is a lot more information. I mean, we have this comprehensive plan that the town spends a lot of amount of time doing and creating, and it seems like, we don't follow it. So what's the point of even having it?
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Wilson. Do you want to kick it back to planning?
I don't see a need.
Ms. Hopkins?
I don't think
Mr.
we
Bishop?
do that.
No.
Mr. Showalter? No. Ms. Hicks?
Yes.
No. Okay. So we will proceed with it, not going back to Planning Commission, and we'll make our final vote in 2 weeks' time. Thank you, and thanks for those attending. Under our consent agenda, we have the approval of the minutes from March the 8th, monthly bill list, a resolution recognizing March 29th, 2022 as Vietnam Veterans Day, a resolution recognizing April 4th through the 10th of 22 as National Public Health Week, and a resolution recognizing April 10th through the 16th as National Public Safety Telecommunications, and a resolution recognizing April 2022 as Child Abuse Prevention Month.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
I'll second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussions? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir.
speak into the microphone.
Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 6-0. Thank you. Under introductions and presentations, we have Information Technology Director Craig Hatmaker to update council on the IT department. Craig? Make sure your microphone works.
Is it working? It's on. Technology, gotta love it.
Yeah.
I feel like today's already been, it started out just great. Come in here and technological problems, people can't get on the computers. And now you get to hear from the tech guy who speaks jargon. And, if you will please not use your cell phones to do your banking right now, or try not to fall asleep. I'd greatly appreciate it. All right, so I am the head of the IT department. I want to let you know what we do. So, Andrew? Oh, I have a clicker. Technology, gotta love it. And there we go. So, we have a mission. Our purpose is to support other departments in their efforts to improve services by leveraging technology. And we'll explain that in a bit. Our values are to maintain the highest level of trust and best return on technology investments. So we'll talk about that also. What do we do? As I mentioned, we help departments leverage automation. This means if other departments need computers, we support them. If they need software, we install them, we configure it, we answer all their questions regarding technology so they can do things better, faster, cheaper. They can do more with less. So we enable that. We help protect citizen information. So one of the things that's going on in computers is all of this ransomware. And right now, in the middle of this Ukraine disaster, Russia's doing some things that we wish they wouldn't. But we need to make sure that the citizens' information, all the information that we have on our systems about their taxes, their utilities, their property, remains secret or as best as that which is not foiable, so that they can't use it to do ransomware and try to hold the town hostage and save us. We want to save the town money and save the citizens from that sort of embarrassment. We also try to keep citizens informed. So we have cameras in here. We installed those. We also worked with public relations so that they can present this and send it out over YouTube and Facebook. We enable citizens and vendor self-service. So we are currently installing an ERP. That's a fancy word for a financial system and other systems that support the town. One of those systems will allow citizens to do pay off their bills from their comfort of their own home, so they don't have to come in. Or they can conduct business with the town from anywhere on any device. We keep the town staff safe. So we had this pandemic, and one of the things that we had to do during the pandemic was ask people to work from home. So one of the things that we were challenged to do was to make sure that our staff could take their telephones off their desks, take them to their home, and have them work as though they were at their desk. Their computers would connect over the internet securely to our system so that they can conduct business at their home as though they were here at the office. And I think we did a pretty good job. And that kept our town staff from having to be exposed to coronavirus here at work. And we also protect town assets. One of the things that we have, the doors have locks on them so that you can't just go in through the office areas unless you have a badge or a token, just to make sure that people don't walk through and some bad actors come and pick up one of our computers or whatever. So we make sure that the assets of the town are secured as best we can. So here's where we are. Here's where we sit in the organization chart. Randy's at the top, department heads are below, and my 3 staff are underneath me. We're a small department. This is what we do. We cover applications, infrastructure, and security. I'll go into more detail on each of these. Applications. Applications come in 2 flavors. On-premise, that means that we have computers on site. And SaaS, software as a service, that means they go to the website to conduct business through the website. These are the various applications that we install and configure and support. So if you have a question about any of those, let me know or I'll move on. One of the major applications that you saw there was Tyler, and it does all of this. So it's a huge effort that's going to take, we've been in it for 6 months, well, 9 months, I guess, and we're going to be in it for another year and a half. We're partnering with Valerie to get the finance in. So this is going to be this is a major project that we are involved with. Infrastructure. These are the things, the hardware. Your devices, your endpoints, which are PCs and laptops. Networking, which is our routers and firewalls and cabling. Phones, they can be either cell phones or desktop phones, and servers. We manage all those. And we manage security. We have cybersecurity, data access security, making sure that only people that are authorized can see certain bits of data, that only people who are authorized can sign on to our computers, as we had difficulty with earlier today, and only certain people who are authorized can access certain applications. We also have physical security with the doors. Now, doing all this requires, I just have 3 staff people. And all this is more than one head can handle. So we have lots of partners that help us. So if somebody staff member comes to us with a problem about anything, if we can't handle it, we go to our support providers, which includes these people, and these people. So we have tons of people that help us out so that we can do with just 3 staff members, that we can do all these things that are necessary. So what have we done lately? We've partnered with finance to implement the new ERP, which was that Tyler monster that we saw. We partnered with administration to enable telework during the pandemic, which we talked about a while back. We partnered with public relations, parks and recreation and aquatics for broadcasting things like these meetings, events, the aquatic center meets. We finished securing this building's access. We partnered with police, fire, and rescue to maintain and expand their mobile communications. And we converted the telephone system to a low-cost SIP. What that means is we're now moving our telephone communications over the internet to avoid long-distance bills. And we're saving thousands of dollars a month with that. And we've improved our cybersecurity posture, which, I'm sorry, I'm going to spend some time on this. Okay, cybersecurity. This is real time. You're looking at FireEye, one of a provider. We don't use them, but they are a provider that has this little app that you can go to and show you attacks that are happening right now, where they're coming from, where they're going to, what kind of attack it is. And we've had almost 600,000 attacks today that these guys know about. And they're not the only ones that know about these things. This is a huge threat, and this Ukraine thing it's making it worse. So this is the theater. It's global. And if you would close that, please. Okay, why do people do this? So if this is stuff you already know, I'm sorry, but when I do these speeches, a lot of people don't understand why in the world does somebody do all these bad things. Some of it's just money. They just want to do a scam on somebody to get their credit cards, get their bank accounts, whatever, ransomware. It's all about money. Some of it's espionage. So you may have heard, although it was buried, there was a devastating attack on the federal government. There's a cybersecurity company called SolarWinds. They were hacked by Russia. And what they did was listen to every email on every government agency. That means the Congress, the White House, the Treasury, every division of the armed forces had their emails hacked, and Russians were listening in on it. They didn't do anything with it, just listen. So that's espionage. Destruction. So Russia, again, a couple years back, hacked Ukraine. Ukraine had a server that was sending out updates for what was, if you're familiar with Quicken or QuickBooks, there's a European version of that. When those people asked to update their software, Russia infected their software. That took Maersk, which is a huge intermodal shipping company, Merck Pharmaceuticals, FedEx, several other major corporations shut them down for months. $11 billion worth of cyber damage, and that was about 5-6 years ago. And then the last one is botnets, crypto mining. What they're doing is they're taking our computers and enslaving them into be used for their purposes. That's what they're after. That's what they do. Now, what are the specific things they're looking for? Credit card numbers, bank accounts, personal identification information that they can use for ransomware, along with sensitive employee information, criminal investigation information. Washington, D.C.'s police force was hacked 6 months ago, and they got a hold of that, and of course, a ransom was paid. Data loss, operational disruption, critical infrastructure disruption. One of the things we're on the lookout for right now is, and it was odd that last night on one of the NCIS Hawaii, I think it is, or FBI Hawaii, I don't know, they did an episode about hackers shutting down the utilities. Well, we're living that right now. They are attempting to shut down utilities now. We have been given alerts this week on all that. And what are their tactics? They want to, first of all, crack our credentials, get your password so they can get into our systems. Man in the middle, what is that? That's a device that listens in on your Wi-Fi, so we have Wi-Fi here. You have to use VPN to get through our Wi-Fi. You're using NetMotion on your PCs. What that does, it prevents somebody with a device from listening in on that Wi-Fi and getting your passwords. It's real easy to do that. The device is $400. It's amazing. So when you're at McDonald's and you're using on public Wi-Fi, you can be exposed to this. They want to exploit vulnerabilities. A couple in December, there was one of the most widespread ransom attacks, or it wasn't a ransom attack, it was a vulnerability, Log4j, if you heard of it. Almost everybody has Log4j in their systems. What that allowed, if you knew the vulnerability, you could then take control of that computer and do anything you wanted to with it without knowing credentials. So that was because that was something that was inside that software. Hackers found out about it and they started leveraging it. Malicious website, go to a website, we can get hacked. Poison emails, click on the wrong thing, get hacked. Pick up a software that has viruses on it, will get hacked. Go to use a service, get hacked. You know all those freebies you have on your phone that people want you to get? Download this particular game and play Candy Crush Saga for free or whatever. You ever wonder why they give it away? And then when you take a look at it, do you see what they ask you to do? They say, can I have access to all your emails and all your photos and all? You go, really? So a lot of these things that are free that you get that are offered to you really are not good for you. So that's their tactics. What do? We block malicious countries and entities. We pretty much have decided that since we're a town, the only people we want to listen to are the people here locally. We want to listen to basically the U.S. and pretty much nobody else. So we block just about every other country in the world. There's a few that we have open, but Russia, Ukraine, we're not listening to them. They can't get into our systems, period. We block them at the firewall. Any traffic coming from any of those places is stopped immediately. We look for network monitoring. What is that? That's if somebody has a PC. If you got your PC there, if that thing starts sending out a protocol called FTP, which is File Transfer Protocol, it shouldn't be doing that. You're not supposed to be doing that. You don't have any reason to be doing that. If we see it, we're going to start looking at it and wondering why it's doing that. So we monitor for network traffic. We enforce credential best practices. So we ask you to change your password every 90 days, and it has to contain so many characters and so many numbers and that sort of thing. We use multi-factor authentication. So when you go into your email from your phone, you have to then also reply to Authenticator to make sure that you are. The only way that you're going to get to your email is if you know your password and you have your phone. That way, if somebody knows your password but they don't have your phone, they can't get into your email. Endpoint protection. We have antiviruses, anti-malware, just like everybody else. Patch management. So we have those vulnerabilities. How do you get rid of them? Well, people, when they find those vulnerabilities, the software manufacturers come out with products to fix those vulnerabilities. We get those and we install those, and we'd have to do that every day. That's called patch management. And user training. You know and love KnowBe4. Everybody loves KnowBe4. Whenever they have to take that 45-minute training, I get so many calls. Thank you so much for allowing me to take this training. Everybody loves KnowBe4. So yes, one of it only takes one person to click on a poison email for the entire network to be infected. So that's why we ask people to take this training so they can understand what is phishing, what is malware, and try to avoid it. But before that poison email gets to you, we block thousands every day. That's our spam filtering. And should, knock wood, should anybody hack us, we have continuous data backup. So if we get hacked on a Friday and the ransom says, we've hacked your system, and if you don't give us $30 million in Bitcoin, we're going to, your systems will be corrupted forever. Well, we just go, thank you very much. We'll roll back to the day before and lose one day's business and continue moving on. We won't have to pay the ransom. That's what we're doing to try to protect us with 3 people on my staff. Any questions? Thank you very much.
So what do y'all do in there in your spare time, Craig?
Spare time, what's that? I'm here.
You really need to send us real phishing instead of computer phishing.
Okay. Next, we have the Finance Director Valerie Tweedy and Town Manager Randy Wingfield to present the proposed fiscal budget 2022-2023. And this is a presentation. We're all seeing this at the first time. I do not expect to have any conversation on this budget tonight. I ask that you take your budgets home, you review them, and make your comments and questions, and we will either schedule a work session or we will have a system to where they're presented to the town for answer. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. So the first couple pages, I did give you a handout of the presentation so that you can refer to it later, and we'll post both the budget draft and this document up on the website tomorrow. I don't think our PDF is ready for it, and we always like to present it to council before we put it out on the website. So with that, the first couple slides here, I just included. They're the same as from our work session the other night, but I just briefly wanted to include them for those that may not have been present on Wednesday night, last Tuesday night, and to just give a real quick review. We basically have 6 different funds. We have enterprise funds, which is the water and the stormwater fund. They are 2 separate and distinct funds. And we have special revenue funds, which basically account for all funds that are given to us for a specified purpose. They can't be used for anything else. And then we have capital projects funds, which are funds in which we track the major capital projects we do, like North Franklin, Cambria Street, all of those big projects, some of our trail projects. And then we have the cemetery fund, which is a perpetual fund required by generally accepted accounting principles that accounts for the cemetery. And the general fund, which is our primary fund. This fund collects revenues from all sources that aren't otherwise designated to another fund, and they are used to operate the government as a whole. Fire, police, rescue, parks, recreation, planning, engineering, and administration. So just wanted to do that for the people here. Council all heard it last week. So this is in accordance with our budget policy. We will present the budget, a draft budget, to you by the second meeting in March every year. This year's budget includes a 2% increase in meals tax, a 2% increase in lodging revenues, and a 1% increase in sales tax. These revenues are our most vulnerable revenues, and they took a pretty good hit during the pandemic. So
we're not proposing we increase those taxes by 2%. This is
no.
That's
That's our expected collections
We're
right
not gonna
now.
raise
It's not.
taxes on it.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you for that clarification. So this is the sources of where our funds are coming from to fund the budget. So the revenues from all funds is a little over 55 million. We have 600,000 that we'll use from assigned fund balance for the software program, the big whopper, Tyler. And then from unassigned, we'll use 9.8 million From special revenue fund balances, $2.8 million. From water and sewer enterprise fund balances, $4.6.5 million, and from stormwater enterprise fund balances, $1.2 million. And a lot of these fund balances get created from the rollover each year of funds that we budgeted but didn't expend that year, so they kind of roll into the next year for use in the next year. So that's kind of where they come from. So our sources are 74, roughly $0.2 million. And then the uses, so general fund operations is almost $31 million. General fund capital costs are $3.5. Cemetery operations and capital are $300,000. Capital projects this year are $14.1 million. Special revenue operations and capital are $4.5 roughly. Water and sewer operations are $8.8 with capital for water and sewer of $7.6 million. Stormwater operations are $830,000 and stormwater capital is $3.4 million for total uses equal to total sources of $74,156,000. This is just a little graph that kind of tries to give you an idea of where does that $55 million come from. 11.3% comes from capital projects, 7.5% from property taxes, business licenses 5%, lodging tax 3%, and I can't read that blue square. 9.6% from meals tax, and then you see all the little small triangles that are, 1, 2, 3%. They're not huge amounts. Water and sewer accounts for about 18% of our revenue. So just kind of an idea to break it down for you as to where all the sources are and how ups and downs of any of those will have a larger impact depending on what a big percentage of our budget they are. And this is a quick chart of where it goes. Water and sewer, 11%. Water and sewer capital is another 10.3%. I was kind of round the other way and realized I couldn't quite see that far. Public safety makes up 14.4%, public works 10%, and our capital projects make up a big chunk of our budgets at around 19%. So just a way of looking at it a little differently, parks and recs and aquatics are a little over 5% of our budget. So just quickly, what is in this document is a proposed water increase of $1 per month for the first 1,000 gallons, and of course at a ton rates are 1.5 times that. Other than that, there is no increase fee for additional 1,000 gallon increments. It's really just that $1 on that first 1,000 gallons. That this was part of the rate study that was done a number of years ago, and we postponed it last year. So this would be the final year of that rate study. And we would have to undertake a new one, but then this one will allow us to have implemented that entire rate study. There are no other proposed increases. Just as a note, the Water Authority is planning on continuing to raise their rates at 2% per year per 1,000 gallons that we pay to them. This year it's increased to $4.05 per 1,000 to the Water Authority. We've made adjustments to all of the operating budgets for increased cost of materials and fuel. And all of the funds are operating at a surplus with the exception of the cemetery, which is kind of a known. The proposed budget also includes expansion for new budgets for Park and Rec for the new regional park and its related debt service. There's four full-time positions for EMS to provide sufficient coverage for calls. There is a 2% merit pool proposed for the employees that would be implemented in November, and a 5% cost of living adjustment and targeted increases after the COLA to bring all of our employees to a wage that's competitive to our adjoining local governments. And part-time wages will reflect a minimum of $15 per hour. These are some of the major capital projects. We Engineering did a really nice presentation last week about all of the different projects and what they all are. This is just kind of a quick list of what the projects are that are included within this budget proposal. And then these are the community support. I don't have everybody's ballots back yet, so they're in here at the full requested amounts. Obviously, those would change if in our next draft, depending on what the final tallies all are. So they're just in the budget at the full amounts. We're proposing that another 1.6 million be assigned to reserves for rescue truck, recreational, street maintenance, public works, aquatics, retaining walls, software, wastewater, and emergency services building for a total of 1.6 million. So in this budget, we're going to use 600,000 of the software reserves that we have to continue our work on the implementation of the new software, and from unassigned reserves for capital and capital projects in support of the cemetery, 9.8 million. The projected unassigned fund balance at the end of all of that is 17.2 million roughly, which is 42%. And that is a bit above what our policy dictates, which we try and keep it right between 35 and 40%. Policy says if it falls below 30, we have to take real action to change that swing so that it doesn't dip any lower than that. And if it gets over 45%, we have to seriously do something to change that trend as well. So you don't want it too far one side or the other. That percentage is of operating expenses for all funds, so that in the event of emergency, we can continue to operate. That's about a 90 to 120 day spend rate. So if all cash stopped, we could continue to operate for roughly 120 days. So the total budget of 74 million is made up of 42.5 in operating and 31.6 in capital. And then I'm going to draw your attention to the fact that the budget document is a bit different. For the new council members, it probably won't seem very different to you, although if you spend some time looking at last year's, it's going to look different. We are implementing a big portion of our financial software will go live in July. So we have been doing the budget for 2023 in the new software. So the way we extract it out of there is a little different, been a little bit of a new challenge for me this year. Figure out, okay, I've been doing it this way for 10 years, how do I do it now? So you'll find that the table of contents will pretty much walk you through the document, but it's kind of broken into tabs by fund. So there'll be a tab for all of the general fund. And then we have the special revenue, the cemetery, the capital projects, and the enterprise funds. And you'll notice that in prior years, the departmental type information used to have like a page. Each program would have a page by itself. Now it's kind of a list. So if you want to see, for example, on page 53, the solid waste, which is our waste disposal, it lists out all the line items of that budget and gives you a total. And then it lists the land closure, and then it lists facilities maintenance, and it's just kind of a running list with subtotals under each one. So it's a little different. We used to have a page in there for every program, or we might combine one or two programs on a page, but it's also made the budget document about 20 pages shorter, which is always a good thing. So it is laid out a little differently. If you have any problems navigating it, or you need a little help to try and figure out where to go, please give me a call. I'd be happy to walk you through it or help get you to where you need to go. And then at the end of the document, we have the 5-year forecast that kind of outlays what our expectation is for capital outlay over the next 5 years, what we would have to do to get there. So it's kind of informative crystal ball-ish, and we take our best shot at that crystal ball every year. So And I think that's all I have for you this evening. Oh, next up, work sessions as directed by council. We'll have to hold a public hearing on the water rate increase. We'll hold a public hearing on the budget. We'll consider all of those comments and make adjustments as appropriate. And then the final budget has to be approved by June 30th. So all of those dates will be coming up pretty quickly to get us to June 30th. So with that, I am done. If you have any questions about where to go, where to find anything in the new format, please give me a holler.
It looks a little simpler to read.
The words, you show us page number 53, the words really strong, like they're really small. I think that's why you say 20 pages on the budget.
So,
Well, actually, though, the print is a little bigger than it used to be in all those little things we have. So,
Like at the beginning, the words are a lot larger. I'm just messing with
Okay.
you.
now, Randy,
I'll get you a bank.
do you have any comments? Are you,
If you have any community support applications that you haven't turned in, either now or today, we'll make sure you get them to us, we'll put that on the upcoming agenda for discussion. If you'd like a budget work session, that you do, just let us know. If you'd like to wait until the next meeting to make that decision, we still have time to do that.
that's kind of why I have asked that council review this document. And it is a different form, and there's a few different things on it. But what you will find, and I have found over the last 22 years, is that there is our chief financial officer and our town manager and our department heads have always do a really good job. I mean, we have presented a balanced budget. I think we have presented a budget that, in their mind, we can achieve based on what we see. In a status quo, if things get better, we'll be better off. But I think the fact that it is a well-constructed budget, I'm interested to go ahead and look and see the changes line item. So that was always very hard to read for me, and I had 20 years of it. So, thank you, Val, Randy, department heads. I think that you will find that there is probably, this year, probably more than any year, is basically based off of needs more so than wants. So, and I think that Val and Randy have done a pretty good job working with the department heads to scale back the requests and clarify them before they hit this final budget. So, Val, Randy, thank you all for your work.
I would really like to see a work session on this, because, I mean, this is the first
We'll work
time
on
that,
We'll work
but
on
I'm just saying, this is the first night that we really have a package for this budget. And just like everybody else, even the county, they keep having all these meetings to talk about the budget. And, you know, we had a meeting the other day that was really, I mean, to talk about this, but we didn't have the information beforehand. And here we got a package that, you know, it's so many pages long. And I understand that, you know, a lot of the stuff that's in here under even capital projects was here the last time around. But I do feel it's important for us to take a look at this.
Since I clearly plan on having at least one work session, maybe two, on this budget.
Okay.
Clearly. Now, I think next week or two would be a good time to review. We will discuss work sessions. I know, Tim, you're gonna be out of town for the next meeting, but we will always schedule them in off weeks. So I do clearly plan on having it, because it is new to three of you. And it's something that we need to do. I think we need to have 15 work sessions like the county? I certainly don't think so. I think that this is a pretty concise budget. But yes, I do plan on scheduling work sessions, and we will probably do 6 o'clock and type things. But yeah, I do. That's why I would really like, when we get ready to get into these work sessions and even to the next guy, I really would like to have any questions that you have provided to the finance director and the town manager, by email or in writing. And when we schedule a work session, I would like to have those in 3 days prior to the work session. I don't plan on anything that comes up last minute before a work session. I don't plan on including it until the next work session, but at least have it out there and available. Very good. Citizens' comments. If anyone, yes, sir.
Paul Eichner, 160 Alexa Lane. I have one question. Looking through, we missed the last couple of meetings, but reading the minutes from the February 22nd, the budget resolution to budget amendment number 8, Mr. Wilson, you voted against that, and I thought I saw your reason for that, but I couldn't find it. Did it have something to do with spending Christiansburg taxpayer money for something for outsiders?
Yes, exactly. I don't see, and I'll make it public, but the list of everybody that asked for a donation, I checked 0.
Okay.
So it doesn't matter what the organization is. If we have a bill, I'll vote yes to pay a bill. But charitable donations, I don't personally feel as though we should be obligating taxpayers' money to charitable donations.
Okay. This was a budget amendment. I thought the purpose for the budget amendment was to purchase property on East Main Street.
No.
Okay. I must be misreading it. But it had to do with donations?
Museum.
It had to do with the museum. $50,000 donation to the museum. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, I guess so, but it says purchase. It doesn't say donation. It says purchase of property.
It was a $50,000 contribution from council to the museum for purchase of property.
Okay.
We didn't purchase anything. The town didn't.
Okay. So the donation was to the museum. That museum that's in Montgomery County. Yeah. Sorry,
it's here. It's located in Christiansburg. It will be the old Wells Fargo building. It's currently here now.
Right.
Too. So that's just for the help to them, to help them expand.
All right. And the other thing is, this is just a comment. My wife and I just completed a vacation. We took a trip down through the South on something called the Civil Rights Trail. And when I got back, I saw an article, I think it was in Sunday's Roanoke Times, about the new storyboards. And I thought that was very interesting. And of course, there was mention in there about the Christiansburg Institute, which, in light of the trip that we just completed, I thought it was interesting. We've looked into it before, and we will look into it more now that we're back. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Henry?
I'd like to thank the town council members for allowing us to speak publicly. I have this little bag. I feel kind of foolish bringing it up, but some things that I've heard at the public meetings on YouTube, as Mr. Hatmaker Craig mentioned, which we appreciate. Some of the things that's been said has been a little demeaning for us on College Street. Okay, so you already know about the flooding situation there that's caused by the town because water's coming off Main Street. It's not that we live on a hidden stream or a river that's been paved over for centuries. It's caused by the town. So a few things that's been said, like it's just a few that one of the town council members mentioned, alludes to the fact that we don't rate. Maybe it was meant in numbers, maybe it was meant in quality. It's quantitative, qualitative, who knows. Mention. I want to point out the fact in 2020 when we had 3 floods from Memorial Day weekend to September, I mentioned that I've had ties in Christiansburg since the 1980s. The Montgomery County Municipal Building was a sewing factory that I used as a contractor in Roanoke to manufacture ladies' dresses. And also Thornhills, the old Kroger plant. I've had ties since living in Roanoke in the 80s to Christiansburg, and the revenue, and generating revenue for employees at the plant that it used to be there at the municipal building. So here's the part that I feel foolish about. If this was a quantitative, there's only a few that has a problem that's issued over at College Street. I want to point out the fact that, and this also goes with thanking town council for what they're doing with the Montgomery County, Museum. That's a wonderful thing that you're doing and expanding that facility there. Hopefully, I will be a part of that forever, because if they keep the vintage Roanoke, the Christiansburg News Messenger, Radford News Journal, and the Blacksburg Sentinel at the time when Wayne Brockenborough owned it, my name is in there as the advertising director under Wayne Brockenborough. And I'm there forever in the Montgomery Museum. My wife has exhibited there under her company, Eyes on Photography. I know you're watching your clock, Mike, but that's really bothering me. I've got my 3 minutes, I know. So what's happening is, in 1997, I worked at Virginia Tech in the new thing called the World Wide Web. And then later on, pre and post Y2K, as advertising director with the News Messenger, us little people, quantitatively speaking and qualitatively speaking, who some on town council appears to think that we don't matter on College Street because we don't live in multi-million-dollar homes from Shaw Development, Acorn, and Rice. I work with Virginia Tech Marketing. I have signed autograph hats from Coach Beamer and the staff when they made the Orange Bowl in 1996 and so forth. And now we're still involved because we're members of the Chamber of Commerce. My wife's and I, little tiny company that we're trying to run and get off the beaten
You have about
path.
20 seconds.
I understand. So, with that being said, I came here tonight. I have to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to DMV, which I chose to do instead of going today, to work next 2 weeks in my IBM project that we work with State Farm. Please do not use downgrading information when you are trying to refer to us. And Town Council, I want to thank you for approving Plan C and not taking our homes and destroying them.
Thank you, Mr. Guest. Your time is up. Your 3 minutes is up.
Okay? And I'd also like to thank maybe Mr. Hatmaker for down the road. Hopefully we'll have a wide area, a WAN or a MAN downtown like we do in Blacksburg. Because at Montgomery County in 1997, we were the most wired county in America. Blacksburg was, because of the BevNet, which beat RevNet. So maybe we can also work on an infrastructure for a MAN downtown. And I'd put my Power BI hat on real quick, going through the budget.
Mr. Guest, you exceeded your time by
And
about 2
so did
minutes.
others. Thank you so much, sir, for reminding me of that and watching your clock. But about 1.5% of the budget of that $74 million would cover the flooding and the repairs and the beautification of College Street. Thank you.
Thank you.
Christine Waltz, 1370 Rigby Street. I don't know if you realize, but when I came to your Finance Committee meeting last Tuesday, I was the only citizen who came here. But a lot of times when I'm coming here because I want clarity, because your budgets impact our budgets. You know, if you have to raise taxes, it's going to impact my budget too. I was really disappointed with what I saw. And I mean, Mr. Showalter, I'm going to kind of pick on you a little bit, but I spent an hour talking to Joanna. I don't understand how people that all have the same vision, which is to try and make Christiansburg better, can end up screaming and hollering at each other. I just don't get it. I mean, if the whole entire, I understood your point was like, you want the DARPA funds towards capital investments. Or ARPA funds towards capital investments. And Joanna wants the money to go towards College Street. But if you're going to pay for both, does it really matter? I just don't understand. Like, and there was a conversation about wages, and you kept saying over and over again to her, I don't understand what you're saying. And she kept repeating the same thing over and over again. And I'm like, are you listening to each other? Or are you just talking at each other or screaming at each other? And then the last part, I mean, it was even worse. It got progressively worse as the night went on. And I, as a citizen watching it, it was really frustrating. Because I felt like, I want to believe when I come in this room that the people that are in front of me are trying to look out for our best interests, and it's really hard to see them screaming at each other. I keep trying to find the right words to tell you, please stop arguing with each other. And I don't mean like you can't have disagreements. You can certainly disagree with how the money should be spent, but can you at least think that both of you have the same goal at the same end? I just don't understand it. It may seem like I said, it takes a lot for me to come up here. I have anxiety, and it takes a lot for me to come up here. And if I'm coming up here, it's because I feel it's really important that you all work together. I get it. You have different styles. You have different ideas. But that actually is supposed to be a good thing, not a bad thing, because it means that maybe if you're strong in math and I'm strong in English, we got it all covered. That's all.
Thank you. Anyone else to address council?
Hello, I'm Dustin Robbins, and I live at 1720 Old Farm Village Road here in Christiansburg. And I just want to come here to thank the council for not only the new council members' service, because it's been great what you guys have been doing so far. I love everything that's gone through the council. I mean, we have a bit of a budget issue right now, but that's probably every year that everyone has disagreements on. I want to encourage you more, especially with the new members, to get out more and more into the community, volunteer a little bit, let us see you a little more. I don't hear much about council members ever really getting out and doing things with the community, whether it's be with a nonprofit or just trying to pick up trash off the streets or something like that. I'd kind of like to see that more, just a little bit. And this year, later in this council meeting, we'll have a community garden presentation from, I guess, Parks and Rec is who's doing that. There are currently 3 that I'm aware of here in town. One that I'm doing, one that Christiansburg Institute's doing, and the pharmacy garden out by the Social Services Building. Reach out to those groups and volunteer a day, because nobody wants to garden, and it's a good just publicity for yourself to just look good. So this kind of all I'm asking is see if the council could show themselves more, not just here in this room or maybe in a newspaper or the television news, but just go out and do it just because you want to, just to help the town a little more physically instead of just in policy. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Hearing no one, close the public, the citizens' comments section. We'll go to committee reports. Mr. Bishop, Ms. Hockett, Street Committee.
All right, the first one we're going to talk about is the Skeletal Drive and Fallen Branch Skeletal Park. Basically, what they're asking for is a utility easement relocation. This came before Town Council in July of 2021, and it was approved. But due to time restraints, they didn't follow through with it, so it came back to us. And eventually, we'll get up, we can see it. Basically, what they're doing, they're just moving the easement from one location to another within the park. Once again, this is a Fallen Branch Park, corporate park. The street committee makes a recommendation to approve the request.
It's in the form of a motion.
Yes.
Got a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second?
That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Sam,
Any comments, questions?
why did it bounce back again? What was the reason?
If plats are good for 60 days, if they aren't recorded within that period, they have to come back for approval again.
Now, is this the relocation for the lines? Is this just water lines and sewer lines, or is this also for broadband and other items?
If think the relocation of the lines they're talking about is the property lines.
Oh, okay. Can you show them up again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's, sorry.
Where's IT?
Yeah, let's get the IT people right now. Where's IT?
Where's IT? Right?
Because when I'm reading at the, because when I'm reading for the,
It does look like a utility easement's being relocated also.
well, that's what it says under the committee report. Plat of lot line and public utility easement relocation.
That's correct.
I don't think there's actually a line in the utility easement there.
They just went from one location to another location.
Right, so it's just relocating the utilities.
So it's not a line on the,
Not changing the property.
It's an easement that we don't have a line in. We aren't using it right now.
So, Mr. Bishop, your motion and Ms. Hicks, your second is still in place?
yes.
Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
Okay, that's 6-0, passes. Next,
Okay, our second plot is for a request for, I think, 740 Depot Street.
470.
Is it 470?
470, 472.
Okay, 470, 472. Basically, this location is on Depot across from Wayne Street and next to Home Street. The property owners are building a duplex on that property, and basically all they want to do is split the property into two parcels. Like I said, one will be 470, that will be 472. Street committee approved this request, and in form of a motion, I make a request that it be approved, or we do.
I'll second.
There you go. Now you can see that.
so
Sorry.
they're making one lot into two lots,
Right.
is that basically
There's a
what they're
duplex
doing?
on it.
To build the duplexes?
Oh, it's there now.
Oh, okay.
So they just want to split it just in case they try to sell it later on.
Okay, very good.
Well, there it
Is that the
goes.
one that they're currently building right now?
Yeah, probably like on Wayne Street.
Yeah.
Probably, yes.
Okay, very good. Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Who seconded
Second.
that?
You didn't get
I'll
second.
second it.
I thought
I'm
Tanya-
sorry.
Tanya
I
seconded
didn't hear
it.
your time, I'm sorry.
I did, I got this, I got this. Go ahead.
Councilman Bishop. Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That passes 6-0. Next,
Next, the property, the plat is for Skeletal Drive. It's at the very end of Scattergood, where there used to be a window business. Apparently, this came to town council before for the same reason, and due to time lapse, it's back to us again.
Well, with this one, really, it's a continuation, because council in the summer of 2020 did take action to vacate really unbuilt portion of right of way, and it really functioned as part of the parking lot for the window company. So this is really the next step. So it is essentially the next step with the vacation of.
Can you increase that in,
Yeah, absolutely.
please?
I don't understand the wording. Can you explain it to me?
Sure. So in 2020, and you may remember this, there was a portion of the right-of-way that was vacated. So the road continued through here. And the developer that recently bought the property at the time and has since subdivided it and it is starting to utilize the different portions of the building. So kind of taking it from larger buildings and subdividing it in to make it several uses instead of one big use. So basically they proposed to council to vacate this area that was right-of-way. It borders the Norfolk Southern right-of-way. It is about 1.264 acres. And then one of the items that came up at that time was that the Diamond Hills Conservation Area is to the back here, and council did want to maintain access to that to that area for the public. So they weren't sure exactly where that was going to go at the time because they were redeveloping this area. So they said they would come back, and so this plat shows where the permanent easement would go to the Diamond Hills area. So this would be a 30-foot easement paved all the way back to the road so the public could access that Diamond Hills Conservation Area. And then this area would become part of this parcel.
Andrew, is this the back, the very back of Scattergood?
It is.
People used to walk. There is not a real trail there, but people walk and take their dogs and stuff out there.
Correct. It's an undeveloped, there's some wetlands back there, and you're right. It is used quite a bit by the public. We've had a stream restoration project in that area as well.
It's the former CNS door factory, jail went factory.
That's right here.
Very good. So is that in the form of a motion?
So the request was, once again, you're moving the line from, can you just, I'm sorry.
So it formally, just recognizes that this portion of land would then become part of this parcel. And then it formally would dedicate the public access easement through here. It would maintain a utility easement through this area for town utilities, and then also there are a couple easements here for drainage that it would formalize as well.
So basically, we're not going to shut off the public access to Diamond Hill Park?
Correct.
Can I ask you why they are asking for this?
Well, when I think it was July of 2020, they had come in as a new owner and wanted to have more control of their property. And there was right-of-way running through it. They wanted to be able to do, I think, a loading dock in this area. It was encroaching in some setbacks with the right-of-way here. So by vacating the right-of-way, it provided them greater ability to redevelop their property.
Who maintains that reserve right now?
The reserve is maintained by the town. The town-owned property, the Diamond Hills Park.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. Yeah, that is owned and maintained by the park, by the town. And I believe there's going to be two cleanups, well, at least one cleanup scheduled here.
Yes.
In mid-April that I believe you all had received some information on as well.
I guess we should have adding to the wording that there will be an easement that will be given to the town or whatever under this, because when we ask for this, the way I'm reading is they're asking for the right-of-way vacation and boundary line adjustment, but he's not describing under this what he actually really they're doing to give us a benefit as well. And now who is going to maintain that easement? You said that they are, right?
So as far, yes, that the easement states that there would be an unobstructed easement, ingress egress to the Diamond Hills Park in perpetuity.
That will show on the plats, the future plats of that?
Correct, and it does state here that there's a new public 30-foot wide ingress egress and public utility easement to serve tax parcel 495, which is Diamond Hills Park.
Now, where will people park now that will be given to them? Because I know that I have seen cars on the side of the road to park there. And so if we give this land to them, don't you foresee that the people will not be able to park their cars there because now this land belongs to them?
The way that it's developed now, I mean, a good portion of the drive is actually not in the area that was designated as right-of-way. So people are essentially parking on their property today. now. If they are indeed parking there, if that's what you're
Well,
saying.
I have seen them on the side,
Yeah.
so if this was given to them, or even if we give this other access to them, are they going to allow for people to use the parking spaces?
Well, they would allow for the 30-foot ingress egress, and people would need to pull up into the property.
By not parking?
Yeah, and that would be, that would be up to the town at a future date to put a parking area in the Diamond Hills Park.
That's very small park. How small is it? Can you tell me?
Oh, I'm not sure. Yeah, I wouldn't know offhand. I'm happy to research that and get back with you all.
But a lot of it is in conservation area, so we don't really plan to develop it as a park per se. There is a walking trail there, but that's
But it's a
kinda-
wetlands
Correct.
type thing. Okay,
Mhm.
very good. So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk, did y'all put a motion
I
and a
haven't
second?
made a second, but I will second.
I just assumed. My bad.
Councilman Bishop. Councilwoman Hicks.
Nay.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is 5-1. Thank you. Under discussion and action by mayor and council, we have Andy Galuski. Did I get it close? Close enough. Okay. Executive Director of NRV Cares to request street closure for Hickok Street, and I'm going to let you tell us all about it.
Hi, Mayor and Council folk. My name is Andy Gillespie, and I'm with NRV Cares, and I'm here with Kelly Edmondson, Director of DSS. And as you all know, April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and as the town does such a great job of putting up banners and the pinwheels, we wanted to go one extra step and do what I'm currently dubbing, until we get maybe a better title, I don't know, a Spring Family Fun Festival. It'll be free, and it'll be mainly child-serving agencies, human service agencies, nonprofits, and we'll just be have booths along Hickok Street with just games and resources for families. We have plans for a popcorn machine and ice cream and just stuff like that, and it's just an opportunity to get families out and about and see all these different things that we have. And the big thing is it's free. We just want to get folks out and about and have fun and embrace childhood. Child abuse awareness, the pinwheel is the symbol of it, and it's supposed to, show that all children are worthy of happy, healthy childhoods. And so that's really what we want to do, is just have a fun Spring Family Fun Festival. We've already kind of spoken to a lot of different agencies who are totally on board with this, churches, anyone who really wants to do it and come along, we're all about, because it's just the more the merrier, if you ask me. So that's that. We were looking at doing it after school hours, just for a couple hours on a Thursday evening, with the hopes that families will kind of trickle down there and join us for a little bit.
So, and the event application is properly filed?
Yes.
I mean, I'm making a statement. I'm not asking you a question. I'm making a statement. It is properly filed.
I would like to make
And
a
there's no
motion.
expense, I don't think there's any other than us putting up bollards. Is that all we've got, Randy?
That and then trash cans.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
That's all.
All right, very good.
I would like to make a motion to approve
Okay.
this festival and the closure of Hickok Street and everything else it stays under item A for discussion and action by mayor.
I'll second. Got a motion and a second. Any questions, comments, further discussions?
Thank you for doing that.
Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Madam
Thank
Clerk?
you all so much.
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is also 6-0. Next, we have Ernie Wade of the Qantas Club, Christiansburg, to request street closure on Main Street between Dunkley, Hickok, and Dunkley Street and Pepper Street, Franklin Street between First and Second, or First and Commerce, Hickok, and so on. The Wilderness Trail Festival.
Members of council, Mr. Mayor, I'm not here asking for money this time. We're here for our annual request to close the streets for the Qantas Wilderness Trail Festival. It's September 17th this year, It's exactly the same street closure as we had last year. Anybody got any questions on the festival? Steve's going to tell you a little bit about Qantas when I finish here.
You all been doing this for 17 years as a club?
The
And
club's about 13 years.
13, and the thing's been going on for
It's 49 years.
49 years.
Yeah.
I really appreciate you coming to council every year and doing this. And I really appreciate you guys, all of Qantas Club, for being able to put such a big event every year. It's very much welcome and loved by the majority of the community, so thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Simmons, you want to talk about Qantas for a minute? Or?
Yeah.
Well, we've got 3 new council members, and I'm not sure what you all know about Qantas. So I'm here to enlighten you. Qantas is a global organization of volunteers dedicated to changing the world, one child and one community at a time. The Qantas Christiansburg has been providing service to our local community since its charter was granted in 1949. So we've been here longer than all but I know one. Some of the things we do each week, Head Start program, we do backpacks for all the children at the Head Start program here in Christiansburg. We also, with the 6 schools in the Christiansburg Strand, we give the schools gift cards at the beginning of the year. And we ask them to use that as their discretion when they see a need for a child, provide that need. The only thing we ask is when they run out of funds on that card, let us know, we will replenish it. We've been providing scholarships for students at Christiansburg High School for many years now. Since the 1960s, the club has been putting together the football program at the high school, and we work with the cheerleaders on that. We share the revenues from that with them. Each year, we provide a Christmas party for approximately 60 children. We get those children's names from the school system, and we bring them to the church, and Santa Claus gives them gifts, and we have a meal with their entire family. We have an arrangement with the Aquatic Center and with the Rec Center that if they have a child, the family cannot afford to put that child in one of the programs the child really wants to work with. The only thing we ask, let us know, and we will cover the cost of that. We have provided with the Aquatic Center and the Rec Center both with that, never turned down a request for that. Now, you saw the budget for the Parks and Recreation. Back when I was growing up, there was no parks and recreation in this town. If you wanted to play ball, it was Qantas ball. They provided all the recreation in this town. And I can't remember if it was the year 1970 or 71, the program became so big that the club came to the town council at that time and asked, can you form a Parks and Recreation because it's just become too big for us to handle. So we've been involved in Parks and Recreation from longer than the town has, you know. But that's just a small sampling of the things that we do in this community. And we do appreciate your support with this. This is by far our largest fundraiser each year. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
I too would like to thank the town council members and also the staff. The only thing we got to do at the beginning of the year is fill out the forms and come to this meeting, and we get all the cooperation you could expect. Rachel, Casey did a great job working with us, and now we have Rachel, and she does a good job working with us. So we appreciate the town and the staff.
All right. Well, I'll make a motion to approve the Qantas Club of Christiansburg request to reclosure of Main Street for the Wilderness Trail Festival.
I would second that.
A motion and a second. Any comments?
I got a question. With this in the previous approval, are we approving the grant application as well?
Yes, I assume that's the case.
Okay. Any other comments or questions? Madam Clerk?
Sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hoppett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That passes with unanimous vote. Adoption of the Emergency Operations Plan. Randy, Mr. Wilson, Ms. Hockett, you all have reviewed the emergency plan. It was discussed at an emergency management meeting. Are you all comfortable with what's been proposed?
Absolutely. I make a motion that we approve the adoption of the emergency operations plan. Ms. Hockett, the chief and his assistant and I have gone over it thoroughly and feel that it is a very, very viable document at this time.
Seconded motion.
Got a motion and a second. Any comments or questions?
You know, I want to congratulate Mr. Tim Wilson. Oh, a job well done. You obviously, I don't know of anybody that has been reading every page or done all the work that he put into making sure that that do take place, and obviously working with Mr. Hanks and, you know, personal and everything else. So, you know, I don't know. I saw some notes the other day, and there was like every page had something. Were you tired?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a thorough docket, and, you know, the changes were just minor changes. It was relocations of, like, the Roanoke Times office and things like that, but we picked it down, and it's a very, very solid document now. Councilman Wilson spent a lot of time going through it. I think he's been about the only one that went through a complete docket that thorough, and we appreciate his input, and of course, Tanya's input through the docket. You know, she's been with the Department of Emergency Management forever, and I think the docket is very solid, and I appreciate their help with the docket.
Very good. Thank you. Thank you all. Any other comments or questions?
Thank you, Tanya, as well.
Ms. Henline?
Sorry. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
That is unanimous vote, 6-0. Update on community garden locations, Mr. Wingfield?
Brad Eppley and I have been discussing the potential locations. He's reviewed a list of our property that the town has available, and the locations that we've come up with for, I guess, our first priority, we think is the Palmer Street location, and our second priority would be the Roanoke Street location, the Eanes property. We would like to pursue both of those and do soils test. We also have a third site in the Slate Creek subdivision. We're going to poll the homeowners association and see if there's still interest from people in that subdivision as to whether they'd want that location. Just because the location's kind of really only readily accessible by people in the subdivision. But the two locations, Roanoke Street and Palmer Street, we're planning on doing soils tests and going ahead and pursuing those.
I make a motion that we approve, as Mr. Wingfield said, the update on the community garden locations.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Do we have discussion?
Yeah, Randy, can you please send an email to Mr. Robbins? I was talking to him the other day, and he was unsure of the property lines and things like that for the gardens.
I think, he's pretty aware by now, aren't you, Dustin?
Yeah, I found him.
We'll have clear identification of what areas are eligible.
Okay, thank you.
A question for you, Randy. When you say that we want to pursue those sites, what does that include from the town, and what is that ask of the community?
We're going to do soil tests on the sites, see if they're suitable. We may bring in some type of topsoil or garden soil if it's not suitable. We're going to talk to the agricultural extension office about the soils too. We will probably try to designate an area and till for the garden. That's probably the extent of what we would do, is really all in planning at this point, unless there's...
And are these the three sites that we, at the last council meeting when we talked about these?
No, there's actually a site in subdivision, I guess kind of adjoining a subdivision near our water tanks off of Radford Street. That was kind of requested, it's kind of similar to the Slate Creek. It was requested by adjoining property owners in the subdivision, and I don't think they're really using it anymore.
So we have a motion and a second. Madam Clerk?
Sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
It is 6-0. Thank you very much. Proposed rescue pay increases, we discussed this in the budget meeting from Tuesday week ago, is that correct? Was it, no, it was an emergency management meeting, I'm sorry.
We talked about it.
We was talking about both of it. Randy, you have the figures on that, or we're basically increasing, if I think we're increasing our EMT pay to $21 an hour, our advanced EMTs to $22 an hour, and some other high qualification to about $23 an hour, up from $16.50 and $17 an hour. I think that's what I was looking at. And this money is $22,000 for the remainder of this year, and it will come out of the revenue recovery money that the rescue squad has earned in responding to calls.
Can I say something about this? I really, I'm all for the raise and the increase on pay for this, for these employees. One of the things that I wanted to make a comment is, I guess I kind of was talking to someone the other day, but Randy, will you explain to me why does he feel like, or he feels like we're kind of competing for the same, obviously the county is providing the same services we're providing, but then at the same time, like, aren't we supposed to kind of be working together instead of like, oh, we're afraid that they're gonna leave to go and work for the county? I don't think that that's something that I personally feel like I want to listen to, because at the end of the day, we're all doing the same thing. We're trying to protect and provide security and obviously safety and everything else for everybody else in the county, just like the town of Christiansburg.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Wilson, do you have input on that?
So first of all, I'd like to make a motion that we accept the proposed rescue pay increases.
Okay.
I would second that.
I have a motion and a second.
And
Would you like
then
to discuss that further?
As the discussion goes, it's partly what you're suggesting. However, it's not the same. The going to work for the county is not the same as working for us. So the county positions that they're discussing are ones that are not in our jurisdiction. And so we are doing what we are doing to try to make sure that we keep bodies in our jurisdiction and we don't lose people that have qualified that we have to bring in and train up to work in our area. Otherwise, these are for the positions that, we'll lose to as Radford, we'll lose them to Blacksburg, we'll lose them to Reiner, to Shawsville, to all those locations who raise their rates. So we're really, this doesn't specifically say all the surrounding vicinities, but it's even Roanoke City is trying to target people that we have in our department now. So we're trying to make sure that we show our people that we appreciate them, and we want to keep people that we've trained, that we've qualified in our department.
Okay. That makes sense.
Thank you. Any other comments? We'll have a motion, and I have a second. Is that correct?
Yes.
Any further discussion or comments? Madam Clerk?
Yes, sir. Councilman Bishop.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hicks.
Aye.
Councilwoman Hockett.
Aye.
Councilman Jenkins.
Aye.
Councilman Showalter.
Aye.
Councilman Wilson.
Aye.
6-0. Thank you. Staff reports, Town Manager?
I'll just mention the fact that the unveiling of the African American Storyboard project was Sunday, and it was well attended. I'll also mention that the CI event that was featuring Opal Lee that was proposed for this weekend has been canceled. And also mention the dialogue on races this Saturday from 10 to 12:30 at Christiansburg Middle School. I'll also mention, I have mentioned to Craig Meadows, County Administrator, the possibility of us having a joint work session with the county. He's mentioned that to the board. They've relayed that they wouldn't want to meet until at least after April, and that they would want, I guess, a confirmation from Town Council that you would want to meet at a regular meeting, and also that they would want, I guess, a proposed agenda for the discussion. So if at some meeting, future meeting, I may put on there items for future discussion with the county if you want to have that meeting and maybe just try to confirm that.
Okay.
If you can, maybe just think about items.
Okay.
When do they make their, I know they have been meeting like weekly now, but when are they supposed to be making the final decisions for like their budget stuff? Is that by May or April?
Well, they're required to do it by the end of June. I don't know if they have a vote date scheduled or not. I can't really tell you that.
Okay, thank you, Brandon.
Okay. Very good. Is that it? No public hearings to set? Nothing like that?
That's it.
Very good. Reed?
Nothing to report, thanks, Mayor.
Very good. Any other staff? Under council reports, I will echo what Mr. Wingfield said about the joint efforts between Christiansburg Institute and Montgomery County Museum. Casey, I want to thank you and your organization for a job well done. It was very well attended, and I am looking forward to the expansion of those storyboards in the near future.
Thank you.
Mr. Showalter.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Bishop.
No report.
Ms. Hicks.
I wanted to give everybody a reminder, we got a meeting Central Business tomorrow from 12 to 1 p.m. I also wanted to actually say the same thing. It was a great event that the museum and Christiansburg Institute put together downtown, and it was well attended. I also want to give a shout out to a lot of people here. There was a huge event downtown Christiansburg last week for St. Patrick's Day, and it was put together by an amazing group of people, including, well, it was actually through Macaroons, but it was, they closed down the old downtown mall, the inside hallways and everything else. It was well attended. They had over 100 people showing up at this event alone. And Richard Maker, one of the head managers, well, the head owners, Kevin Clark, head of operations, district manager, Chris Bolden, Taylor Smith, manager, David Everett, manager, Philip Gooding, assistant, sponsors like the Oil Printing Supplies, BAPA for allowing the usage of the space. Actually, Macaroons was recognized as #2 sales in the company, and they got second place. They would have gotten first place if they would have made $700 more. So we're like close right there out of 20 locations. So that's very impressive. I also wanted to give a shout out to the organization, Agency for Aging. I know that they just got an award. I sent you guys a copy of an email for that. That was really cool. It was they got second place in the Commonwealth Council on Aging's Practices Award for the COVID Companions program that they started a few years ago. So great job. And then I wanted to remind everybody that they are having the Agency on Aging. They're going to have this huge event. It's going to be a dinner, live music, and silent auction to benefit the Home Delivered Meals program. And it's going to be on Thursday, May 26, 2022. And you can buy tickets for $50 a person. And that's going to be from like 5:30 to 8:30. So thank you.
Thank you. Let me see. I'm picking over this Hackett.
Nothing to report.
Mr. Wilson.
No, sir, nothing.
Mr. Jenkins. Thank you. Is there anything else come before the council tonight? Please study your budgets and be thinking about your comments and questions. Thank you.